Let's analyze now the controls that are going to allow the user to enter text as part of the application. For this demonstration, I have created a new page called Test Controls Demo, which I have assigned it as the main page. I am going to proceed to remove this label element, and instead I am going to indicate that I want to use an element called entry. This is a control that will allow us to enter text in the application. If we start the application, we see at the top this text box that will allow us to enter text. We can assign certain properties to this entry control to modify the visual appearance. For example, we have a property called placeholder that will allow us to assign a text so that the user knows what information to enter. We can also modify the color of the placeholder through the placeholder color property. Let's set a dark green color. And if we want to see this color in action, we must remove the enter text, and we already have here the placeholder. Also, as part of the entry element, we can indicate if, for example, we want the content to have a password format, that is to say, to hide the characters of the text that are entered. This way, we do enter some text. Notice how the text is hidden immediately. And another property that is very useful is a property called keyboard, which will allow us to specify what type of keyboard we want to show the user so that he does not enter incorrect information. For example, we could indicate that we want to use the keyboard so that it can only select elements of a telephone number. If we see it in action, here is this numeric keypad being displayed for entering only numbers to form a phone number. Also, as part of the properties of an entry element, we have two events that you probably want to know about. The first event is the event called text changed, which is going to fire every time a character is entered in the entry control. We're going to proceed to create the corresponding event handler, and we also have an event called completed, which is going to fire only when you finish typing a text in the entry control. I'm going to proceed to go to the code behind of this file, and let's test first the event called entry text changed. We have to import the namespace that is needed so that we do not have any type of problem. This namespace is system.diagnostics. And we're also going to set a next name for the entry element to match the name used in the code behind. That is, the name txt_name. With these changes, let's start the application. I'm going to start typing text into the entry control, and it seems that nothing happens. But if we go to the output window of Visual Studio, we can see the different characters that have been pressed from the keyboard. That's how this event called text change works. Also, as I mentioned before, we have the event called completed, which is going to work only when we finish typing the desired text. I'm going to copy this line to the entry complete event handler. Let's restart the application. I'm going to type some number, and this event will fire only when we finish editing the control. For example, by pressing this green keyboard control. We go to Visual Studio, and as part of the output window, we see the number that's being typed in. This is the difference between using this pair of entry control events. Finally, there are going to be times when you want the user to be able to enter multiple lines of text. For example, if you wanted to enter a comment or you wanted to edit a blog post. And for these occasions, we can use a control called editor. If we visualize this control, we see that it is very similar to the entry control. However, as part of the properties of the editor control, we have a property called auto size, to which if we assign the value of change, it will allow us to resize the control as we write in it. Running the application, observe how, while we write, the control becomes bigger as we increase the amount of text. We also have the pair of events text changed and completed that we have already seen previously.